I think compared to the previous presentations, I think we're switching now gears towards a presentation on some of the activities of the EBRAINS technical coordination and how this relates to the work that is going on in Work Package 1. I'm going to start out with a little bit of an overview of how technical coordination and architecture work is currently being performed, how it relates to all the different things in the HPP. And then I'm going to focus in on 5 topics: development, integration, testing, operations, and monitoring. Given that it's only 15 minutes, I will not detail all the slides completely, and I leave it up to you to read this after the fact or come to us for questions. I think most important is that, and this is, we're in the final 3 years of the HPP, and in 3 years, the aim is to have EBRAINS in full production, and that EBRAINS will then, from then on, be an S3, which means that the HPP is, I'm sorry, I have some extra things in my view that are blocking my view. No, okay. Where the S3 will be supported and funded by individual countries. And as part of that, in SGA3, we'll now centralize a lot of the technical coordination further. What does it mean that EBRAINS is in full production? It means that we were going to have real-world users depending on EBRAINS. So that it's working is not longer an option or a curiosity. It should be working for everybody because they depend on their own scientific work for it to function. This means that the services that are becoming part of EBRAINS need to be in full production. No proof of concepts. They need to be quality controlled, integrated, etc., etc. They need to have an SLA. We cannot do special purpose solutions anymore. Everybody should be seen as a paying customer. And as said, the EBRAINS will be an S3, which means that we are in competition with other providers. We will not be longer a special grant agreement project. And that has, results in the type of functionality and support that we have to deliver. This is an overview of the different coordination tasks and efforts going on in work package in EBRAINS. We have on the right the different work packages with their service components. These are larger services provided to users. On the left, we have external users and work package 1 to 3. And in between, there are 4 major groups with slightly overlapping, slightly different roles. Task 6.14, the scientific liaison, and task 4.20 are more top-down, high-level group tasks that provide a prioritization of the different things that we have. And then we have HLST and task 5.11 providing co-design and support in requirements and services, where absolutely the different tasks T111 in Work Package 1 have a role to assure that the information that Work Package 1 has arrives at the other groups. Technical coordination is led by Work Package 5 and Professor Ioannidis. There's a couple of coordination things that are currently already started. We have per week a weekly coordination meeting on Wednesday. Everybody is invited, and we will ask the specific people coming in if it's needed. We have a task force where we've invited 2 members of each development team to represent and to report. Additionally, we have working groups on specific task areas, the architecture, infrastructure, software quality, software delivery, and we're going to have probably a working group on security, which is a topic which is of interest for Work Package 1 as well. The next slide gives you an overview of how it is represented in the grant agreements. In green is EBRAINS and all the different services at different levels that we are providing. And then in blue and yellow, how this relates to what Work Package 1 and Work Package 2 and 3 do. So it's the expectation that the science work packages provide us with models, with information, with use cases, with interfaces, with requirements, and that the work packages consume, as it were, the workflows, the resources, and other services that EBRAINS can provide. This is the current state, as it say, of the architecture. This is a very, very, very high level view. These are in order of 50 boxes that represent the work of 400 people over 7, 8, 9, 10 years. So this is high level. In the middle, you see service offerings, and this is where the meat and bones of EBRAINS services are located. This is where the knowledge graph is. This is where the workflows are, where your data processing is located, where curation is performed. This is stacked on top of what we call the infrastructure middleware. This is a set of unified services that will allow you to do these different things. Think workflow management, monitoring, provenance tracking, orchestration of your workflows. And this is again layered on top of our infrastructure services provided by Phoenix, or in some cases neuromorphic hardware. This is hardware level, and we expect that the typical access to these services will not be directly, but via such an infrastructure middleware. On top are not the front ends. These are specific front ends, like, for instance, the TVB, but the Colab is another front end that is using all these different service offerings and the infrastructure middleware that is displayed over here. Then to the topics that I wanted to discuss. Firstly, the TC role in development. The idea is that technical coordination will monitor the progress and planned releases of your software so that we can align how different projects and needs are related, and we can find blocking points. Additionally, we will provide you with best practices if the current practices do not meet the requirements. And the aim is to be proactive and to raise efficiency, scalability, and interoperability as issues, but also, for instance, security issues. The integration into EBRAINS is currently started. This whole process will be started by filling out 2 pages for the different services that will become part of EBRAINS. I will not go over this list, but these are typical developer level information that the technical coordination needs to do their work. Only the services and components that have been integrated with EBRAINS technical coordination can receive full support after SGA3. Filling out the 2 pages on the tools and services is a requirement, but is not sufficient to be included in EBRAINS after SGA3. This is an endpoint after SGA3. Expect reduced support for your software tools if they are not becoming part of EBRAINS towards the end of SGA3. This means that installation, support, etc. is the responsibility of the owner of the software and not of EBRAINS. Next topic, testing. EBRAINS is extremely complex, with different levels of maturity and scope and characteristics of the workflows and components part of it. This necessitates that and we understand that there will be different ways how to test your software. But part of an integrated EBRAINS component for technical coordination means that there is a testing plan and that it should be tested. We will provide common testing available environments, both site-specific or multi-site solutions. This is currently actively worked on with testing environments. I'm talking about Jenkins or other integrated environments that could integrate with GitLab or GitHub. Operations. EBRAINS is a multi-site e-infrastructure. with currently the underlying federated base infrastructure being Phoenix. Typically, deployment of the tools is managed by the component partner or a site-specific DevOps team. That is the current situation. We want to move to a more centrally coordinated deployment process because we are more and more having multiple users of the same component in EBRAINS. So we want to have horizontal cross-site tracking of the different versions of softwares that are available. This includes VMs, software installations, base infrastructure, etc., etc. We will need a shared deployment schedule for new releases to be able to coordinate all the work that we're doing over the whole EBRAINS. Acceptance for new releases needs to be established. There needs to be a process how new features are added to EBRAINS, with the primary goal to minimize service disruptions to end users. Again, these end users might be somebody you don't know, that still depend on your software. So this is this shift in thinking about what are the responsibilities of what we're doing. Regarding monitoring, there are two different levels of monitoring that will be provided. That is software monitoring. This is typically on the application level, on the service level. We will try to deploy an ELK stack as soon as possible on the Phoenix resources. And a first target for this will be the work package 1 showcases 1 and 2. This is an action of the SNU task 6.14. Details will follow in an email that I will send out later on. This is software monitoring. That's on the functionality level. There is other monitoring that will be done and that must be done, and that is regarding resource usage. Currently, we have no knowledge of what resources are being used by what tools, by what service, by what user, etc., etc. Additionally to this, EBRAINS will be run more like a commercial service where people can buy in and for services from us. For instance, an external user says, I want to use TVB the TVB cloud or TVB integrated with X. We need to find a way how to build this to the end user. I put here in bold an important part. Be prepared to include functionality in your applications that report resource usage at the user level. This is currently something that is in development, but I advise you to not make choices in your software that would prevent adding this functionality at a later stage.